The morning sun had barely climbed over the glass towers of the city when Evan Hale realized his life had just cracked open. The email came quietly, almost politely, yet it landed like a hammer to the chest. Position terminated. Effective immediately. After 10 loyal years, after endless overtime and missed school events, Evan was no longer an employee of North Star Solutions. He stood in the lobby holding his worn messenger bag, watching well-dressed professionals pass him by, unaware that his world had just tilted. All he could think about was his 7-year-old son, Noah, and how he would explain that stability had vanished before lunchtime. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that good deeds matter even when no one is watching, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel One Heart Stories. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Evan was a single father by circumstance, not choice. 3 years earlier, an illness had taken his wife, leaving him to juggle grief, parenthood, and responsibility with hands that never felt steady enough. Every morning, he walked Noah to school before rushing to work, reminding himself that showing up was the only promise he could always keep. Losing his job that morning felt like failing that promise. Still, Evan straightened his shoulders, stepped out into the bright day, and began the long walk toward the bus stop, rehearsing hopeful words he did not yet believe. Across town, in a sunlit corporate district cafe, CEO Lillian Crow was reviewing reports with a sharp focus that had earned her both admiration and fear. She had authorized the layoffs earlier that day, including Evan's name, signing off without faces or stories attached. To her, it was a necessary decision to protect the company. Lillian's life was built on control, precision, and speed. She moved through the world with purpose, unaware that fate had already placed her on a collision course with the very man whose job she had erased. Later that morning, Evan took a shortcut through a quiet commercial plaza, hoping to save bus fare. The day was bright, ordinary, almost peaceful, which made what happened next feel unreal. A black van screeched to a halt near the curb, its doors sliding open with violent urgency. 2 masked men rushed out, their movements sharp and frantic, eyes locked on a woman stepping out of a nearby building. Panic rippled through the air. People froze. Some ran. Others pretended not to see. Evan did not think. He did not weigh risks or consequences. He saw fear, and his body moved before his mind caught up. He grabbed a fallen metal signpost and ran toward the chaos, shouting to draw attention away from the woman. The thieves hesitated, startled by resistance they did not expect. One stumbled. The other faltered just long enough for security alarms to scream to life. Within moments, guards and bystanders surged forward, and the thieves fled, empty-handed. The woman Evan had shielded collapsed onto the pavement, shaking, her expensive handbag forgotten at her side. Sunlight reflected off her tear-filled eyes as she looked up at the stranger who had just risked everything for her. Evan felt his knees weaken, adrenaline draining, the weight of what could have happened settling in. He did not know her name. He did not know her power. He only knew that someone had needed help. Police arrived, statements were taken, and the plaza slowly returned to its daytime rhythm. Evan slipped away quietly, bruised but alive, heart still pounding. By the time he reached the bus stop, his phone buzzed with a reminder from Noah's school about an upcoming field trip fee. Evan closed his eyes, the reality of unemployment crashing back in. Heroics did not pay rent. Courage did not buy groceries. At the same time, Lillian Crow sat in the back of a patrol car, wrapped in a borrowed jacket, her mind replaying the moment she thought her life might end in broad daylight. For the first time in years, control had been stripped away. The image that stayed with her was not the masked thieves, but the exhausted man with fear in his eyes who stepped forward anyway. When an officer mentioned his name during the report, something inside her shifted. By afternoon, Lillian was back at her office, staring out at the city she believed she understood. She pulled up the list of terminated employees, her finger hovering over one name. Evan Hale. Single parent. No disciplinary issues. Long tenure. She felt a tightness in her chest that spreadsheets had never caused. For the first time, the cost of her decisions had a face. Evan spent the rest of the day moving through sunlight that felt cruel in its normalcy. He picked Noah up from school, forcing a smile, pretending nothing had changed. Yet inside, fear grew roots. That evening, as he helped his son with homework near a bright window, his phone rang. An unfamiliar number. He almost ignored it, assuming it was another automated rejection. The next morning arrived with clear skies and a sense of quiet anticipation Evan could not explain. He sat at his small kitchen table, sunlight pouring in, when an email notification appeared. It was from North Star Solutions. His breath caught as he opened it. The words blurred as relief and disbelief washed over him. Reinstatement. Apology. Request for a meeting. Signed by Lillian Crow herself. Evan later learned the full truth during that meeting, held in a bright conference room filled with morning light. He understood then how close their lives had come to intersecting in tragedy rather than grace. The job offer came with improved terms, flexibility for Noah, and something rarer than money, respect. Evan accepted, not out of pride, but out of responsibility and hope. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that compassion still matters in a world moving too fast to notice, please take a moment now to like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who need them. And before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Comment below with the words "kindness returns" if you believe that what we give to the world finds its way back to us, sometimes in ways we never expect. As the sun set on that long, unforgettable day, Evan walked Noah home under a sky painted gold, knowing that loss and grace had arrived hand in hand. Somewhere across the city, Lillian Crow looked out at the same daylight fading, finally understanding that leadership was not just about survival, but about humanity. And in that shared light, two strangers found their lives quietly, irrevocably changed.